Imagine paying hundreds of dollars for a concert ticket, only to discover most of that money doesn't even go to your favorite artist. The fees are exorbitant, the choice is limited, and somehow, no matter which show you pick, one company seems to be behind it all. That company is Live Nation. They don't just sell you the ticket. They own the venue, manage the artist, oversee the production, and determine how much you pay. It's one of the most influential and contentious business empires in entertainment today. But how did a single company manage to dominate an entire industry that is supposed to be about freedom, creativity, and live experience? This is the story of how Live Nation built a near monopoly in live music, and what it teaches us about power, marketing, and the business of exclusivity. Flashback to 1996. The music scene is electric and raw. Nirvana's ghost still haunts the charts. Festivals like Lollapalooza are DIY dreams. Independent promoters hustling in smoky backrooms and booking venues on a prayer. But one man sees the future. Robert F.X. Sillerman, a radio tycoon who launches SFX Entertainment, not as a promoter, but as a predator. Why fight over scraps, he thinks, when you can own the table? SFX embarks on a buying spree. Sunshine Promotions acquired. The entertainment group folded in. Avalon Entertainment Partners bought out. By 1998, SFX controlled 130 promotion companies across 36 markets. It marks the beginning of the concert conglomerate. Sillerman's plan? Vertical integration. Promote the show, own the venue, sell the merchandise. But the authorities take notice. That year, the DOJ initiates an inquiry. Is SFX monopolizing promotions? They issue a consent decree. SFX must sell some assets. By 2000, Clear Channel Communications, a radio giant born from the Telecom Act's deregulation fever dream, swallowed SFX for $4.4 billion. Now it's Clear Channel Entertainment. They own the airwaves and the stages. Imagine, your song blasts on their stations, then they book your tour, pick your venue, and pocket the ticket fees. Artists whisper, fans shrug, but the machine hums on. In 2005, Clear Channel spins off its entertainment arm to dodge antitrust heat. Voila, Live Nation is born. But the real game changer arrived in 2010, when Live Nation merged with Ticketmaster, the company that already dominated ticket sales. That merger didn't just create a powerhouse, it established a gatekeeper for the entire concert experience. And nowhere is this dominance more evident than in the United States, the world's largest concert market, valued at over $15 billion in 2025, and expected to grow steadily. Here, Live Nation controls a significant share of live events, venues, and ticketing. In fact, many of the biggest arenas and amphitheaters, from Madison Square Garden to the Hollywood Bowl, are either owned, operated, or exclusively booked by them. This move exemplifies vertical integration, a marketing and business strategy where a company controls multiple stages of the customer journey. In Live Nation's case, they didn't just promote the concert. They owned every step, from the artist contract to the venue, ticket sales, and even merchandise. After the merger, Live Nation gained something truly valuable: leverage. Artists sought the best venues aimed for the biggest tours, and fans, they had no real alternative. Soon, Live Nation controlled over 70% of ticketing for major concerts in the US, and that's a conservative estimate. They owned or operated more than 200 venues, managed hundreds of artists through their management division, and had exclusive contracts with thousands more. When an artist signs with Live Nation, they don't just get a tour, they get access to Live Nation's ecosystem: promotion, ticketing, logistics, and global scale. But that also means dependence. Critics argue that this ecosystem creates a closed loop in which competition can't thrive. Smaller promoters can't book top artists because venues and tickets are already locked up. Independent venues can't compete because Live Nation can undercut them on costs or bundle massive tours they can't afford to host. This is a masterclass in ecosystem marketing. where a brand builds a network so interconnected that customers and even competitors become part of its system. Apple achieved this with devices, Amazon with logistics, and Live Nation with live music. Of course, from a business standpoint, Live Nation's approach is brilliant, but from a customer's perspective, not so much. The result, ticket prices have skyrocketed. Hidden fees, service charges, platinum pricing, and resale markups have left fans frustrated. In some cases, fans pay up to 40% more in fees than the ticket price itself. When Taylor Swift's Eras Tour tickets went on sale, the system crashed. Millions of fans were locked out, and resale prices shot up into the thousands. The backlash was so severe that the US Senate held hearings about Ticketmaster's monopoly power. Here's the paradox. Live Nation markets exclusivity. In marketing, scarcity drives value. The fewer the options, the higher the demand. By limiting competition and controlling availability, Live Nation effectively turns concerts into luxury experiences. That's the marketing of exclusivity, a principle luxury brands use to justify premium pricing. Live Nation applied it to music. So, how did Live Nation become untouchable? Simple. They position themselves as essential. Artists need them. Venues rely on them. And governments, despite investigations, find it difficult to break them apart because the ecosystem is so deeply embedded in the industry. They've also mastered brand partnerships. Major sponsors like American Express, Verizon, and Budweiser pour millions into Live Nation events. For brands, Live Nation offers something priceless: direct access to engaged audiences. This is experiential marketing at its finest. Live Nation isn't just selling a product, it's selling moments. Every concert, every sponsorship, and every ticket sold strengthens the emotional bond between audiences and brands. That's why advertisers invest so heavily to be part of it. However, this level of control prompts moral and creative issues. When a single company determines which artists are promoted, where they perform, and how much fans pay, creativity and fairness may be sidelined in favor of profit. Many independent venues and smaller artists argue that Live Nation's dominance suppresses diversity. If you're not part of the system, you remain invisible. When fans associate every frustrating ticket experience with Live Nation, the brand's influence becomes a double-edged sword. Admired for its success, yet criticized for its practices. This is a classic paradox of brand reputation. When a company becomes too dominant, even well-executed strategies can provoke resentment. Savvy marketers understand that perception equals power, and once trust is lost, even monopolies can face backlash. So what's next for Live Nation? Regulators are circling. Competitors like SeatGeek and Eventbrite are trying to carve out space, and some artists, like Taylor Swift and Pearl Jam before her, are pushing for more transparent ticketing. But make no mistake, dismantling this empire won't be straightforward. Live Nation has built an infrastructure that's as much about emotion as it is about logistics. When you control people's experiences, not just their purchases, your business isn't just strong, it's cultural. Live Nation's story is more than a business case. It's a lesson in how power, perception, and marketing intersect. They mastered vertical integration, leveraged scarcity, and built emotional ecosystems that turned music into a billion-dollar business. But at what cost? When exclusivity becomes exploitation, and marketing becomes manipulation, it forces us to ask, where does smart business end and monopoly begin? If you found this story insightful, subscribe to BizCase Academy, where we break down the stories, strategies, and systems behind the biggest names in business. because understanding how power works is the first step to using it wisely.